So first of all then, what do you think of the nightcap campaign?
I think it's an excellent idea. It's trying to reinforce the safety of culture on long school trips or trips abroad where drivers are going to be staying overnight. The question, in a way, sometimes the driver's almost the forgotten person on some of these trips, but they need to be able to get a good night's sleep, to be well rested, not disturbed, because the next day they could be doing a very long drive, a very long trip with the lives of 30, 40, 50, 60 people in their hands.
Is this something that industry bodies should be giving advice on?
I certainly think industry bodies should be looking at this and looking at what Busk have done, researching into this problem. It's all about risk. It's a clear risk that if a driver's fatigued and tired, he's not going to be performing to the highest standard. When a driver doesn't perform to high standards, people can get killed. So a way of removing the risk of a fatigued driver is to make sure he gets a good night's sleep, he's well rested. It's not rocket science.
So is this something that you think that the coach companies themselves should be doing?
I think the coach companies have a duty to ensure that their drivers are driving in a safe way. We know that problems arise with drivers who are not properly trained and also drivers who are fatigued, who are tired. So if there's a simple way of removing that problem, the industry is obliged, in my view, to do that.
And what role did the schools play in school transport?
The schools have a responsibility equally with all other people involved. So the school should be doing a risk assessment, looking at the dangers that its children from the school might have in any kind of school visit, school trip, school transport scenario. So if it's a long overnight journey or a trip abroad, again, the school should be saying, well, one of the risks could be a tired driver. What can we as a school do to help the situation? Can we chip in to get the driver his own accommodation? Can we make sure the driver is not bothered by the children late at night or early in the morning, waking them up? For the school, it's an equal responsibility to make sure that their children are safe, therefore make sure that the driver is safe.
And what about trips in this country, shorter trips? What should schools be doing to ensure that safe journey?
Well, a school needs to organise and plan every journey. So that will be all aspects of it. The transport will be part of the aspect of the school trip. So the school should be looking to work out what are the problems that might happen, what are the risks, how we can avoid those risks. The school isn't expected to look at every single potential nightmare scenario. It shouldn't be worried about whether a meteorite will strike the coach or something like that. But it's got to look at reasonable problems that might occur and how it can avoid them. So again, it will be looking at its relationship with the coach operator, if it's using a coach operator. Is it getting good coaches? Is it getting good drivers? How are the children behaving on the coaches? How are the teachers supervising it? These are all things the school needs to look at and have some kind of sensible, well thought out approach to it.
If a child gets injured on a school trip, can the school, the governors, the teachers be held responsible legally?
They can be held responsible legally, absolutely, but it will depend on the facts of the accident. But clearly there will be some facts and some accidents which can come back to the school. The school governors are responsible for setting policies. If it's clear that the school hasn't got no transport policy or it hasn't reviewed its transport policy for 20, 30 years, the governors will be in the firing line. If a teacher has not done what he's supposed to do according to the school's policy, or if a teacher has changed things for no good reason, then again that teacher might be in the firing line. Basically, schools, transport authorities, if relevant, local education authorities, they all have a shared responsibility to keep our children safe. None of them can avoid it. They all have a role to play in that shared responsibility of keeping our children safe.
And is it enough for a school just to ask a big organisation for some advice and say, well, that was the advice I was given? Or do they have more responsibility than that?
Well, the school, it would be a good idea for the school to seek advice from a big organisation and look at what industry practice is. So that would be the school doing its homework in that respect and doing it well. But equally, it needs to be looking at it with a sceptical eye. It shouldn't just think if the school is taking that advice and applying its mind to it, that's good. If a school is just taking advice and then think, well, I've ticked that box, that's not good. So it depends on how it uses that advice. It depends on the kind of culture of the school or the local authority or whoever, the transport provider. Just saying, oh, I've got advice, I've ticked the box, that's no good.
Finally then, this is something that has to be taken seriously.
Absolutely, because particularly in transport scenarios, people's lives are literally at stake in these things. So safety is paramount in all circumstances.